3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
Welcome to Grok Talk. We are live from Southern New Hampshire University, the Practical Federalism Forum 2016. Stand and fight. I'd like to welcome you to the program. I have Skip Murphy here with me on my right, Mike Rogers to my left, and we're expecting a host of possible guests up until the point where the thing actually begins. Host today is Jeff Chittister, Brian McCormick, who's standing right in front of me, Cornerstone Policy Research. We're all expecting Senator Cruz, Carly Fiorina.
We start in and
Stanley
everybody
Kurtz,
comes over,
and
of
yeah,
course.
and we're on the air, and everybody comes to see us. This is awesome. So, welcome to the show. We will be doing the program from. It's not plugged in.
What?
Yeah, you have
like
to
that?
give a Mike's headset or something.
No, we do this.
We take that
Plunk.
and plug that.
Hand
in,
me that
So we can
head-
talk to Jeff for a couple minutes. So anyway,
And that's exactly how it works, Skip.
we will do an hour of regular show, and then we will break into the lovely event, and you'll hear that for the second hour of the program, and then. Rock Talk will officially be over, but we're going to be here live streaming all day, and so that'll be fun. And just a minute, we're going to talk to the Master of Ceremonies,
The master of all ceremonies.
the man from the Sea Coast.
Yeah. Little fun fact from the unfortunate shooting yesterday, or actually, was it Thursday night now? I'm losing track of time. Is that the university had a security guard who was intentionally unarmed. You can't make this stuff up when liberals are at work.
No, you can't. All right, how we doing?
Okay.
Let's try that.
There, Jeff?
I can hear you guys.
Hey.
You can hear you. All right.
Mr. Jeff Chittister, welcome to Grok Talk.
Hey guys, how you been?
Good, how are you?
Busy?
Haven't seen you more. We
Haven't
always
seen you
just
since
see
the
at
last
events.
event. Yeah.
That's what it seems to be. That's kind of a. It's a good life, but
Same time next event.
we used to see each other a lot more. Plus, you guys have jobs too.
Yeah.
I don't
Where are
think
you
people
gonna,
realize that.
Where are you going to be on the 17th, Jeff?
The 17th is going to be absolutely fantastic. We're going to show the rest of the country how you actually do a caucus.
Oh, I hope so.
Most excellent.
I hope so. It's been awfully quiet. I'm like, is everything done? Is everything ready?
Well, you have some. I talked to a few of the people who were part of the organization team the other day, and come on, you get the most professional team that you don't have to pay a lot of money to in the world.
We do have Diane Bitter, so I can't imagine that it won't come off flawlessly.
And Fran Wendelboe.
Fran and the whole group, but it's interesting because we were, as somebody asked me the other day, the phases of the campaign. And I really break the campaigns down into three, going through the summer, you're really just giving that stump speech. You're introducing yourself. You're doing all those picnics and the little things. But there aren't a lot of people there. And typically in the second, that second phase that we're starting to move into, you're starting into more policy points. You're hopefully moving beyond the stump stage. So the caucus actually comes at a very good time when people are really starting to focus in on just those key policy issues as well.
Absolutely. And Shane, if you're listening, you need to be here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, Shane.
Or you can just take our live stream.
Or you could just watch it, maybe, hopefully, from the polling arena, the Durgan polling arena.
That's an interesting. It's a good venue. It actually adds into the
rural flavor.
The festive theme of a caucus. Caucus should really be there. Because one time I remember, and my friends in Iowa always yell at me because we use the old adage. New Hampshire picks presidents and Iowa picks corn.
Shane Vanderhart's over there.
Yeah, and they're right over there. and they get really upset. It's not that I said it, nor did I ever originate it, but someone once asked me, how would you describe what a caucus is? And I said, it's really like the end of the movie Carrie. when the doors get slammed and the blood comes flying down. That is, and he's absolutely right. There's a lot, whatever Republicans involved, there's a lot more organization. But no, it'll be interesting, and I can't wait to see it. And I think it's, the initiative is brilliant too, if you think about it.
Yeah,
it is.
And we're expecting a good turnout. We've got some pre-check-ins. Can't use the word registration because you're not registering to vote. We're taking registered voters, and you have to be one to be able to go there and participate.
Yeah, Republican or independent.
Well, it's interesting, and I've got to ask you guys this, and so, this is the fun thing about being on with you guys is that, Skip and Steve and Mike, have you noticed, though, that this is really the first time in a long time that it's actually the establishment candidates beating the heck out of each other, trying to make sure that they get that double-digit percentage of support. Usually you see the conservatives, and there is certainly a debate going on there, but it could be that suddenly because of the way the breakup of...
Turn your volume down while you're doing that, guy.
Yeah. Suddenly, because of the way the makeup is that, it's the establishment that could find themselves, falling further down into relevance.
Well, I mean, the establishment put up some faux conservatives to try and dilute the vote, and none of them are getting any traction whatsoever. There's Jim Hu from Virginia, and
his daughter Cindy Lou, right?
Yeah. George Pataki, who's getting no traction either, even though he's a nice guy. Even Chris Christie's barely getting registered.
His townhouse has been townhouse.
Wow, soundbite.
He's from New Jersey, but his town halls have been actually very, very good, though.
I mean, Christie's actually one of the interesting ones because he is an absolutely fun character. Lindsey Graham's getting no traction whatsoever, but he's actually the funniest man on the stage.
Isn't he great?
If you watched the last junior debate, Lindsey Graham, self-deprecating humor, absolutely off the charts funny. It's like if he ever gives up politics, he's got a job on the stage.
It's like when Goober came to Hee Haw, they added in a new element of comedy into that whole realm of. So he does bring in that humor, and the thing is, I'll give Lindsey credit though. He's never going to lie to you. He just says exactly what he believes, and you can scratch your head on it, but the thing is, at least you know where you stand with him.
Yeah,
I mean that's the interesting thing about it.
He's pro illegal immigrants, and he's also for a strong defense. I always worry a little bit about judges as military men, lawyers, because essentially they're not the fighters, but they're willing to send your kids out to fight. That's why I was actually kind of keen on Perry.
Jack's interesting.
No, I take it more the other way, that they're not so much about the fighting. They want to legalize the fighting, which, as we have all seen, and what I've been told by my sons, you probably ran into it as well,
Yeah.
Jeff being a veteran. Thank you.
Thank you.
When the lawyers get involved, then you get these rules of engagement, which have no reality at all.
None.
I'll tell you, my youngest son in Afghanistan used to complain all the time, and he said these rules are more often getting us killed or hurt than actually us doing what we're supposed to do, which is break things and kill people.
Well, it was interesting because when I was in the military and I was over in Europe, we only had 3 rules. We only had 3 rules, and it was great because, I had a wonderful general who had gone through the Korean and Vietnam War, and it basically, if they're not supposed to be in this area, you shoot to kill them. If you shoot to kill them and they live, you shoot to kill them. And he has really 3 simple rules, and no one could really countermand them.
And I always thought that was a great idea. If they're shooting at me from a mosque, well, then it's no longer sacred. Kaboom.
Yeah, and the first thing you do is blow the mosque off the face of the earth.
Well, and that's the debate. I emceed that event with Donald Trump and really the gentleman from New York who got up and talked about that. But it hasn't been interesting. I don't know if you guys saw this, but
wait a minute. I just passed food down that way. That was not to get it away from me. I was trying to be nice before taking the first one. But as long as you have, I'm taking it.
I'm gonna eat later.
I mean, are you guys surprised about what has been discussed up to this point? I mean, I have been, but I also made it a point of saying, look, once again, you guys love to take away one leg of the conservative stool, thinking that we're never going to talk about it, and yet every single conversation has really been either foreign policy or that social leg, immigration, law and order, life, and all those things, and I think it's taken some candidates back.
Well, I mean, Planned Parenthood have essentially made this about themselves, and they have given people like Carly Fiorina and Bobby Jindal a platform on which from which to speak on a pro-life issue, which otherwise would have been alluded to rather than campaigned on. it's now perfectly legitimate to come out strongly pro-life and against Planned Parenthood.
But it's like I've said to some of the candidates, so there is eventually you're going to clash. If you think that you can ignore the social issues, I'm amazed about how many of the candidates have come out and said, well, I'm pro-choice, but I don't like spending all this money. And I keep telling them, I said,
it doesn't work.
It's always going to be that way. You want to ignore this issue, but lo and behold, you'll find yourself in it.
Let me go after my favoritist whipping boy. That would be Doug Scammon, the former New Hampshire Speaker of the House, elected by the Democrats, just like the current Democrat elected and owned
Mr.
Sean Jasper.
Yeah.
But he and I had a real big screaming match one time. And he said, get away from the social issues. We always lose. And I said, every social issue has a financial cost.
Exactly.
And it shut him right down. And then I started off on every single thing that the Democrats have pushed as social issues because nitwits like him think that if we get rid of the social issues, then we'd be okay. Well, no, because social issues, like you said, are never going to go away.
No.
And the Democrats make sure that everybody is all in, whether you like it or not. They force you to pay for all of their social issues.
Correct. And when you frame it that way, and I think that you saw this with Planned Parenthood, regardless of what Planned Parenthood says, they lost this week again. And, the American people are basically saying, look, you're not explaining yourself really well here. And I think that's an important issue to bring up. I mean, they don't want to spend the money if you're making the money.
Tons of money.
Yeah.
But you're right. The one thing I have been very surprised about is that there has been very little talk about the national debt, the annual deficit, and what it's going to take to go up there. The only thing we're starting to see seep into the regular news, and it's still mostly wonks that are doing this, the sequestration and what's about to happen to the military.
Right. And no one is talking about, President Obama basically holding an unapproved budget that doesn't really increase spending that much, but does help strengthen the military a little bit, holding it hostage. Republicans are constantly being accused of holding something hostage, and suddenly and then it was great even this week. I don't know if you've heard this pattern this week been going on. The Democrats want to hold the debt ceiling hostage on gun control. They're actually openly talking about it. And, once again, this is the same people who 2 years ago who said you never use this mechanism as a hostage methodology. You have open debates. You don't attach things onto this that aren't relative to the conversation, and yet, lo and behold, and they don't think they're going to be penalized for it. And they're right. You know why? Because you guys are the only types of media outlet that are really out there.
Yeah, I mean, if the Republicans actually stood firm on that one, and the government shut down, and the people knew because the Republicans actually dared to tell them and spend some money on advertising, the people would be as mad as hell at the Democrats for daring to try and shut down the government over a fundamental right.
Right.
2 words. Surrender Caucus.
The
Surrender Caucus.
All right, we are going to...
And that includes Kelly Ayotte.
And
what a wuss and what a coward.
Well, they bring in that and I know where Steve's from, but you end up with strategy and tactics, and you go through the whole thing. What I thought was interesting is going into this really what has been a very convoluted week, going into another convoluted week. Now we have leadership in the House up for grabs. Chafis suddenly throws his name out there, who's been one of the good guys on a lot of the issues. He's younger and he's not afraid to be vocal on it. That brings in a whole new element to what people thought was going to be once again a coronation.
Yeah. What about Yoho from Florida, the one that tried to give Boehner the push last year, where I was
Daniel Webster?
No, he's going to, and also Mark Meadows, but
too many.
Yeah,
well, he's right. It's the right name.
Yoho, yeah.
Because I was.
No, this was not Yahoo.
Yahoo, yeah.
No, I was able to write about giving Boehner the Yoho heave-ho because this guy Yoho from Florida was actually challenging him in the last leadership election.
Yeah.
We're going to attempt to take a short break, so that's easier to post, edit in production, and we will be right back. I'll just leave the microphones up. I don't have any audio. Hang on.
Taxpayers, we're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Drive at Large in the Morning. The Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
Yeah, we keep talking about that for what, a year and a half now?
Yeah, we keep talking about that.
Yeah, we'd love to come on the show.
We'd love to.
We would.
Well, I think people forget that we have regular jobs, and my regular job has just been
Yeah, mine's been off the charts. I barely get time to write
Me
these
too,
days,
me
and
too.
there is just so much good stuff to write about. I'm ashamed that I'm not finding the time to write it.
Well, and once again, it's just like a church attendance. It's always just a few people who are the ones who are there early, who heard people around, do all the volunteer work and everything like that. And I mean, you guys are out there. You guys have your regular jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really people
Which
don't realize it.
I have to tell these guys probably next week, no blogging at all while I'm out in San Diego.
See, there we go.
So you guys are going to have to step up.
All right.
There
All
we
right.
go.
I'll try to step up.
Okay.
I'll give it a shot.
I
will.
We'll do what we can.
I'll tell my boss I got a blog.
That's right. It's about time.
I'm
So-
sure he'll just be like, "Go ahead."
Well, you can
Oh yeah, and I've got to be careful about that. But I can't say the name of the company, but I work for a company that's very, very supportive of the method and methodology and madness that I put into.
Well, my boss, what was it, a couple of years ago, somebody in the Republican Party tried to get me fired by
nice.
quoting, sending a letter and accusing me of being misogynist. They sent it to the president of my company. Small company, and so
Yeah.
I talk to him every day. He calls me up and goes, "What is this?" And I go, "Oh, I know what it is." And I explained it to him. And he goes, "All right." He's like, "Just be careful." That's all I said.
Yeah, it's interesting. You always do have to be careful, and I try to be, I try to be gentle through my approaches and stuff like that. It was, but yeah, I mean, you guys are a little bit more active than I am. Mm-hmm. I show up on Saturday morning, do my show, and I leave, and then I do the article, and then, but my postings have gone way down.
Yeah. Well, you can only do just so much. And, my regular routine, now that I'm an empty nester, almost, again, I've got a helicopter.
But the problem is you guys are so fast at it. Even if I'm thinking about writing something, you guys have beaten me to the way ahead of me. I'm like, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be relative if I do this at the end of the day. You guys are one story into it, 2 updates, and 20 comments. And I mean, I'm sitting there like, well, what am I going to write about? I end up reposting a lot of your stuff.
Well, and I keep thinking, I can't blog during the day.
Oh, these guys are
Steve
mad.
can, and it's like, he's taking all the good stuff.
Yeah, I do leave stuff out there for you.
Well, that goes back
But
to
if-
Mike with so much out there.
But if you
Yeah.
wait too long, it like I said,
Well,
it
that's just
doesn't
it, yeah.
become relevant, and you got to keep it fresh. And the other thing is, and so I'll give you guys a plug, and I love you guys, because you guys, unlike the mainstream media, if you look at NBC, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, all of them, all
Yeah,
right?
we can make fun of them when they're
You
here
can.
later.
You guys do not have to correct yourself as often as they do, and they look how long it takes them. I mean, that's the interesting thing, is that in this modern realm, a lot of people say, well, bloggers post instantaneously, they don't check their facts, and they get things wrong. You guys are hitting the mark without having to update your stories an awful lot. And when you do update them, it's not really a correction point, it's an addition to the story. Where Fox is taking stories down, CNN is going, oh, we got that one all wrong. And it's amazing. There's a method to your madness.
We don't post without research, and sometimes it's pure opinion. But I mean, but if it's facts, we make sure we got the facts.
Here's what I'm going to say, though. How many tech guys do we have at Granite Grok? There's something
Most
to be
of us.
There's something to be said coming from the tech industry, where analytically, we have to be pretty smooth about how we collect our information and be ready to introduce it immediately.
Well, one of the things that I think that plays into this, Jeff, is I started blogging back in 2006, and blogging had really kind of started
Yeah.
2001 for the very, very early adopters. It was starting to get on the roll, 2004, 5, and 6. And what I observed is that everybody linked back to their original sources.
Right.
And I have made that a mantra. It's not really an official rule. I only have 2 for the
Right.
writers at Granite Rock. But I always told people, if you're going to write and you're going to opine on something, you had better link back, because I may have to go back and take a look at it.
Right.
And it's a service for our readers, and it just happens to also make everybody a better reader. I mean, a better writer, because
Right.
here's what it is. We want to be open. We want to be transparent. And yes, there have been times when we have had to say, we got this wrong.
Right. But it's
Not very
not
often,
through
though.
malice, though. That's the difference, though.
And
That's
a
the
lot of
difference.
times it's sometimes we do the Instapundit thing. We grab a blurb and throw up a link, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
And then everybody
Watch it run.
piles onto you for what somebody else said, and I'm like, I just shared it.
That was what was your post that everybody jumped all over you
I
for?
forgot. Yeah, no, somebody. Oh,
I mean, one of the most commented posts we ever had, and all he did was quote somebody else.
Exactly.
That's great.
and that's exactly the point, to start a conversation. Holy cow!
Right, and they think you're taking a position. I do that a lot on Facebook, and suddenly I'm gone for three hours from the post. I
And
come
they
back
come
and I'm
back,
like,
oh my God,
what in the heck? You feel like
somebody herded some diarrhea-loaded cattle over my Facebook page. While I was like,
you feel like a baby seal looking at a Canadian. It's like, oh my goodness, what the heck happened?
Apparently, I've just endorsed this candidate. I hate these things. I'm going to be,
But the one thing for us that we can say is that we can say stuff that probably no one else in New Hampshire can, only because we will.
That's
Absolutely.
the key.
Because we started off doing it anyways. We took a lot of flack, and when they attacked us, we went, smile. We are going to have some fun.
Mike, you want to go find Anne Marie for us?
Yeah. So I'm going to let you guys
So
go.
that was
It's funny though, because I'm in the mainstream, which is funny.
Yeah.
So I do the mainstream article, and about a year ago, I actually linked over to one of your stories in this mainstream article, and the emails I got from the fine friends of Portsmouth, basically, these Granite Grok guys are insane. I got emails about. I was like, how could you quote back to this as a source, as legitimate news? And I ended up creating a paragraph to respond back to everybody, basically going, how can you believe that even though they're not in the mainstream, that they're not probably the most valid news source in New Hampshire for politics? I said, what you're actually contesting is that you don't agree with them, but that doesn't mean they're not valid in this conversation. And it was it. But that was one of the heaviest emailed stories I did, because I went back to one of the sources you did. I forget what, it might have been voter fraud, but it was hilarious too. That oh no, they're not a legitimate source. And I'm like, and then at the same time, I'm getting emails for
All right.
Jeff, miscellaneous blue is a legitimate source, and stuff like that.
If you found out how many refugees Martha Fuller Clark's going to let live in her voter motor hotel, she's got a lot of room. We know she's got a lot of room.
She's expanding that. I think that you have to take your reservations earlier. I think she's actually on TripAdvisor for the room early. So I'll take pictures for you. Just let me know if you want me to wander down that way. I'll just go.
That's your neighborhood, by all means.
Go check it out.
It's time to spruce up the show with intellect and intelligence. And
so yes, we're going to have
There's only one
Anne-Marie
way
in.
to do that is to bring Anne-Marie Banfield in.
All right, we're gonna attempt to run another commercial break, and then we'll be right back. Jeff, thanks so much.
All right.
I'm still collecting audio, and let's see if this works. Last time it didn't work. We had an issue. We're gonna try it. I'm just gonna leave the mic up and see what happens. So.
Rock Talk comes to you live almost every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on New Hampshire's leading conservative blog
Suddenly
site,
not working.
GraniteGrok.com. You can also listen live at Spreaker.com. If you missed a live show, catch up with the podcast at GraniteGrok.com, Spreaker.com.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we're not gonna do that. Headset.
Grok TV.